So the first time I sat in the hot seat, I had this really complex question about connecting. And I had worked it out over lunch, and it was this big algorithm, and I wanted an explanation from Abraham. And I sat down, and you called me up, and the woman that was doing the microphone at the time, we were off the stage, she turned to look at me and gave me a look that was such pure love that I had made up this whole story in my mind about what connection looked like. And there were no words exchanged. Like I could have just gotten up and walked away at that point because it was all right there just in her look. And I immediately started to cry, and I sat down anyway, and I could not pull it together. Like when Jerry edited the CD, I didn't even have a title. Like I was just globbed onto the person that came before me because there was nothing really that could be said about it. So I had a beautiful example of just the perfection of having a desire and then lining up with it and then allowing myself to experience it so simply in really just a few minutes, right?
Words don't teach. It's only life experience that teaches. And words often do not reflect accurately the vibration that is within. So often, the more you talk about things, the more you contradict what you really mean. And so, strange that we offer so many words here. But when we come together in a collective gathering, it is comfortable to offer enough words that we join in a similar vicinity of vibration, and then together can move beyond. Yeah. But you are right. Vibration, your point of attraction, and what comes to you is not about the words that you speak. It's about the way you feel. If you feel vulnerable, you'll be speaking words that indicate your vulnerability, and law of attraction will respond with other things that promote a feeling of vulnerability, because law of attraction does not improve your life, it amplifies the life that you've already got going on. So it really is an important thing to understand vibration and emotion, and realize that that is your point of attraction, that is your point of attraction, that is your point of attraction. But maybe it's also important to say, while it is your point of attraction, it's also your point of presenting your energy. So it's what you are giving off. And you meet each other. In other words, law of attraction causes you to meet each other. That's what you saw in that beautiful exchange in the eyes of the beautiful woman. It's a meeting. And don't you always do that? If you're ornery, don't you meet up with the other ones who are? For a while we were talking about vibrational disc and how if you're ending up in a traffic snarl and you're angry at the other drivers around, we want you to know you're on the disc with them. You're in the same vibrational vicinity, because they can't jump discs. They can't be ornery and say, oh, look, there's a happy guy. Let's go up there and mess his life up. There's nothing like that can go on. You're on the disc with him. You're meeting one another. So what do you want to talk about now?
So I have a question regarding that. The timing of that was quick. Obviously, I didn't put any conditions on how that feeling would come to me. Like I wanted to make a connection, and I put it out there, and then the universe provided, right? So
as it does all day, every day, in so many ways that you couldn't even count them. But when you begin noticing them, then life gets richer.
Right. And part of that, though, was not having any expectation about how it would be fulfilled, that I was just open to...
Well, that's not really an accurate thing, because it isn't that you didn't have any expectation, it's that you didn't have any conscious realization of the expectation. And here's what we mean by this, and this is something that we've not talked about before. This sifting and sorting causes you to put things that you desire in your vortex. And as those things amass and law of attraction amplifies them and your inner being focuses upon them, there is a vibrational expectation. That's what we mean when we say things are always working out for you. There is an expectation, a source energy expectation. You are expected by source energy to thrive. So when you say, I didn't have any expectation, it doesn't matter how consciously you are aware of this magnificent expectation that we all have for you, but you certainly cannot be defying the expectation that we have with contradictory, strong beliefs of momentum. You can't be saying, no, that can't happen, and you weren't doing that. So let's just say the expectation was there, but you were just not shouting it to the universe. And that really is the leading edge conversation that we're wanting to have with so many of you here today, is that when we talk about this vibration, this desire becoming evolved enough, expanded enough, and enough momentum that it becomes possible for you to realize it. But you have to be in the receiving mode in order to receive the idea, in the receptive mode in order to receive the idea. What we're wanting to explain in the context of what you're talking about here is, you might say, I had no conscious expectation. And that's the same thing as saying, I have not been lingering in the vicinity so that I could receive consciously the expectation of my source. Can you hear how important that is? That's so big. And we don't think you even meant those words when you said them. We think they're just words that you're used to saying. I had no real expectation about that. And what most people mean when they say that is, I hadn't been talking about it. I hadn't been writing it down. It wasn't a big goal. It wasn't something that I've been working toward. And we're wanting to say to you that so often the things that you believe that you are working toward, you're not working toward them, you're working against them because you're working. Because there isn't an expectation of the natural evolution of them. Big point. You got it?
Really good. Yeah, that was awesome. That was a brief snapshot. The timing happened quickly. When there's a gap between what it is, the desire that I create, and then the universe does its thing in step 2, and I'm allowing in step 3, but time goes by. Is it always the case of there being resistance there?
Always?
Always. So,
well, resistance, yes, it's always the case. Anything that doesn't move fast is because of resistance. Esther found that out when the wheel came off her suitcase. She took it off the baggage carousel, and it's a Toomey bag, and she's always said it almost pulls itself. It rolls so easily, but it wasn't rolling at all, and she realized that a wheel had broken off during the flight, so she had essentially a sled and a lot of resistance. It slowed her way down. And so it is always resistance that slows things down. But we don't want you to work too hard in trying to identify precisely what the reason for the resistance is, or even what it is, because your attention to it just adds more momentum to the resistance.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it's better just to acknowledge there might be a better time to drag this sled through the airport than now, like when it has a wheel on it.
Okay, I got that.
Yeah. Enough?
Enough.
Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I'm a really good student because I've been following all of your teachings. I do this focus wheel every morning. And the last thing I did this focus wheel for was about the money. I know that I have a good relationship with money, but I do this focus wheel every morning, me and my wife actually, and we did it for the lottery last time. I know that one day I'm gonna win, I'm gonna be prosperous, and I've been believing in that, but my question is, why is it not coming now? Or am I putting some resistance onto that, or?
Let's see if we can figure this out. So, how many lottery tickets did you buy?
Okay, I got
How many tickets did you buy?
45.
45 tickets. And how many lottery tickets were in the mix? How many billions of lottery tickets were in the mix? So, do you have any feeling of odds or statistics in your vibration?
I mean, I was an engineer, so I know about that.
Oh, really? So this very pragmatic engineer who knows the relationship between 44 and 4 billion.
But I want to follow your teaching. I don't want to think about that statistics.
Well, we want that too. We want that too. And we know that when you are thinking about it in the way that we know, rather than in this way, that then those thoughts will turn to things for you. But that's not the case yet. You're still thinking this way. Mm-hmm. So you haven't lined up with it. If you're going to buy a lottery ticket, you got to line up with universal assistance, not with the statistics or the odds, you see. Do any of you ever buy a lottery ticket and say, this is a sure thing for me? Or are you at best hopeful? You got to go beyond hopeful. And you know what's beyond hopeful? Knowing or not caring at all.
Knowing and not caring at all.
Knowing that you're going to win, or it being fun and a game and it not really mattering. because those statistics are active in your vibrational experience. So this was a discouraging conversation for so many of you. But what we're really saying to you is you can't attract outside of your beliefs. You just can't attract outside of your beliefs. And so you got to find a way of lining up with your desire, and then your belief is not opposing it. And then we've been talking to you all day today, all day yesterday, all day, any day that you're willing to gather and listen to us about how easy it is for you to win the vibrational lottery. And the vibrational lottery means you've hooked up with the energy that creates worlds. And specifically, anything that you want is focused upon by source, and it is a sure thing that it will come to be. Not a statistical odds against you. It is a sure thing that it will come to be. But it does require looking at life in a vibrational way. It does require understanding the way things work. What do you think the odds would be if you were to go to the edge of the cliff? There's one over here. Esther likes to stand there and watch the hang gliders just float away. What would the odds be if you didn't have your contraption and you didn't have a parachute and you didn't have an airplane? What would be the odds if you just stepped off the cliff of your just floating away like the others? What would be the odds? 0. Because law of attraction will do the thing that it always does. What we are wanting you to understand is that law of attraction is working for your good fortune. It is working for your prosperity, not against it. But your own beliefs, almost everyone, have been working against your own prosperity. And you can tell by the way you feel when you think about things like that, and you can tell by the way the words sound and feel as you speak them. In other words, it just sounds like the most incredible thing. Everybody's talking about the couple that won, and they're yearning to be that, but it seems like such an anomaly. It seems like such an incredible, iffy, chancy, risky anomaly. But this stuff that we're talking about is not risky, and it's not chancy. It's sure. Once something has bubbled up and become a vibrational desire that you have realized, it is a sure thing. It's already so far along its progression that for it not to occur is ridiculous. And the only reason that it doesn't occur is because you have these habits of thought, and the only reason that you are willing to continue to project these habits of thought that are contrary to the desires that you hold is because you're willing to put up with not feeling so good. Yearning doesn't bother you. Well, you should be soaring. Yearning should bother you. It should feel awful to you to only feel hopeful. Hope in relationship to pure knowing, oh, no comparison whatsoever. But you've just become accustomed to not feeling so good, being a little angry, being a little ornery, being a little depressed, being a little discouraged, being a little mad, being a little blameful, being a little guilty. In other words, you've felt so many of those things in response to the way that you're thinking that you've trained yourself into unnatural acceptance of unnatural vibration. So that when somebody wins the lottery, you go, oh, wow, what an amazing, remarkable freak of nature that is. When everybody is winning the lottery all day, every day, do you know that your Earth is spinning in its orbit in perfect proximity to other planets? That is such a good thing. And it's not accidental, and it is for you. You won big time lottery that your planet is stable. Do you realize how many things are working for you? Your physical body won the lottery, won the lottery, won the lottery. And so as you're appreciating and basking and enjoying and practicing those thoughts that feel good, then those thoughts that have felt natural to you, those ornery thoughts that are blocking your well-being, they'll stop feeling so natural. They'll start feeling like what they are, the reason that things aren't quickly moving for you, you see. And after you get a handle on this and you start predominantly feeling good and you find yourself choking on words that you used to say often because they're really out of whack with who you really are, and you start allowing those magnificent vibrational thoughts to turn to magnificent see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it things, and others will look at you and they will call you lucky. They will call you a freak of nature. They will say, how is it that everything nice keeps coming to you? It's magical, or it's lucky, or it's freakishly lucky. And you'll just say, no, It's not. It's natural. It's who I am. It's the vibration that I emit. It's a natural, law-based experience. It's me projecting something that the universe must match.